Old Hollywood, an era of dreams, mystery, and glamour, a time when beauty was divine and image was everything. The black and white glow of the silver screen made every actress look like a goddess. But behind the camera, not everything was as perfect as it seemed. Because sometimes, a single wardrobe slip could shake the entire film industry. Back in the 1950s, when censorship rules were extremely strict, even a slightly revealing outfit could create national outrage. And yet, it was during this time that one of Hollywood's most iconic moments was born, the famous Marilyn Monroe subway dress scene from The 7-Year Itch. It was supposed to be a playful scene, Marilyn standing over a subway grate as her white dress billowed up in the air. The crowd loved it. Cameras flashed, but off-screen things weren't so smooth. The dress flew higher than expected, revealing more than planned, and the moment caused a sensation across America. The press called it the most shocking scene ever filmed. Marilyn herself was embarrassed, especially because her husband, Joe DiMaggio, was watching on set. He was furious, calling the scene indecent. But what he saw as shame, the world saw as rebellion. That image of Marilyn, laughing, fearless, radiant, became one of the most iconic photographs of the 20th century. Then came Jayne Mansfield, often called the Queen of Wardrobe Accidents. At a 1957 Hollywood party, Jayne arrived wearing a plunging dress that defied gravity. She sat beside the elegant Sophia Loren, and as cameras flashed, her neckline slipped just enough to make history. Loren's expression in that photo, half shock, half disbelief, said everything. The image went viral by 1950s standards. Newspapers splashed it across front pages, and that single accident defined Jayne Mansfield's legacy. Some called it vulgar, others called it bold, but everyone agreed. Jayne knew exactly what she was doing. Old Hollywood lived on the edge, where glamour and scandal walked hand in hand. Every wardrobe malfunction wasn't just an accident. It was a spark that revealed the truth behind the illusion, that these women weren't just stars, they were human, daring, and unapologetically bold. As the 1960s and 70s arrived, Hollywood began to loosen its collar. The world was changing, fashion was evolving, and so were the women who ruled the screen. Yet, even as censorship faded, scandal never disappeared. It just changed shape. Take Sophia Loren, for instance. While that Jayne Mansfield photo followed her forever, Loren herself faced several wardrobe mishaps throughout her career. At the 1964 Cannes Film Festival, one of her gown straps snapped right in front of dozens of photographers. Instead of panicking, she smiled gracefully, adjusted her dress, and carried on. The next day's headlines read, "Grace under pressure, Sophia Loren's poise saves the day." Then there was Brigitte Bardot, the French bombshell who redefined sensuality. Bardot didn't believe in hiding behind fabric. When she wore bikinis on the French Riviera in the early 1950s, the world gasped. Every public appearance of hers sparked controversy. Sometimes it was a dress cut too low, sometimes a strap that slipped too far. But Bardot didn't apologize. She famously said, "If my clothes shock you, perhaps it's not me, it's your eyes." And then came Raquel Welch, who turned prehistoric fantasy into fashion legend with 1,000,000 Years BC, 1966. Her fur bikini became one of cinema's most famous costumes, though on set, it tore repeatedly during filming. The crew had to stitch it up between takes, but the final result? A timeless symbol of feminine power and beauty. What's fascinating is that these so-called accidents often became turning points. They showed that women in film were no longer afraid to own their bodies or their choices. Every wardrobe malfunction became a cultural statement, challenging society's double standards. Old Hollywood wanted perfection, flawless gowns, flawless faces. But these women, in their most vulnerable moments, showed something far more powerful: authenticity. By the 1970s, Hollywood had evolved. Censorship was fading fast, and women were beginning to take charge of their image and their art. But even then, wardrobe malfunctions continued to make headlines. reminding everyone that beneath the lights and glamour, the stars were still human. Elizabeth Taylor, one of Hollywood's most glamorous icons, experienced her share of fashion mishaps. During the filming of Cleopatra, her golden gown was sewn directly onto her body to achieve the perfect fit. The fabric was so tight that she could barely move, and more than once, the seams ripped during filming. Instead of stopping production, Taylor laughed it off and continued. "I'm not afraid of a little scandal," she said. "It keeps me human." Jane Fonda also faced a few memorable moments, especially during the filming of Barbarella, 1968. Her futuristic costumes were so fragile that they kept breaking on set. Instead of cutting those moments out, the director decided to keep them, making the awkwardness part of the character's charm. Those mistakes turned into some of the most iconic moments in sci-fi cinema. And then there was Ursula Andress, whose white bikini in Dr. No, 1962, practically invented the term Bond girl. Few people know that during filming, the bikini tore several times. The costume team had to sew it by hand again and again. Yet the final scene, Andress emerging from the sea, became one of the most unforgettable moments in film history. In truth, every wardrobe malfunction in old Hollywood told a deeper story. It wasn't just fabric tearing, it was the sound of a society breaking free from its own stitched-up morals. Each of these women, Marilyn, Jane, Sophia, Brigitte, Raquel, Elizabeth, dared to be seen, even when the world tried to shame them. Their mistakes became milestones, their embarrassment became empowerment, and their scandals became stories that shaped cinema itself. Old Hollywood's wardrobe malfunctions weren't just about exposed skin, they were about exposed truth. Behind the laughter, the gasps, and the headlines, they taught us something timeless. Glamour isn't about perfection, it's about courage.